Hey, real quick, guys, before I get this boring video started, I told you about making these intake horns. Let me know if you want to see me build an intake horn out of scratch, out of this 3-inch diameter piping, because I have an aftermarket intake horn here, and I would like to do something a little bit different. So let me know if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, because if you are, I have the time this week to make one. So let me know. Let's get on with the video. Well, boys, today is the day. We finally went and got a rear main seal. Got a box of peanut butter eggs. We have a Randy's Billet Flexplate, all new ARP bolts, and these came from Power Driven Diesel, so brand new grade 8 bolts. And we went with a Felpro seal. Now, the reason I went with a Felpro is I've used a ton of rear mains in the past. Bertha has a MAL right now, a MAL rear main seal, and it got taken out when the Flexplate went, because I did the rear main seal before and it never leaked until the Flexplate went. So they're a lot thinner. I've done a ton of rear main seals over the years, and that one just seems to never leak on me. I've never had a problem with a Felpro. So we're gonna throw one in Bertha, because I was telling you guys I really wanted to go with the wear sleeve, but there's really no need to, because the crank on this truck is decent. So we're gonna get Bertha fired up. We're gonna go grab some degreaser, clean Bertha off before she goes in the shop, because Bertha's gonna be in there a while. I could technically get this done today. I just don't know if I care enough to. Also, that will probably be the last time that you hear that startup without a nice VGT. We're gonna do that. We're gonna turn all the defrosters on, and we're gonna let Bertha warm up. Guys, I'm telling you, life is just going fucking great. We got the shit box I always wanted. I get to throw money at this thing, that thing. Money is no object right now, and I am absolutely loving it. So, you stay. We're gonna go drop all this stuff down at the shop in the bottom, and then we also got some goodies here. There's a fuel filter delete in here in one of these. Yeah, this is the fuel filter delete. This, we're gonna be making intake horns. So if I could get my damn hand in there. I got a base plate, if you can see it, for the intake horn, and then we got a bunch more fuses. So that's gonna go for the welder side, because just in case that ever pulls out, that welder battery is live, and it's gonna short out. It'll short out to the spare toolbox, and I don't want that, just in case. So that way we have a fuse on both sides, one from the battery from the truck and one from the battery on the other side. But we're getting there. We also got an ECU on order, so we can finally get rid of this check engine light, because you can see we have the OBD2 to OBD1 harness, because this thing's getting turboed. So we're just waiting on all the parts to do that, but I want to get Bertha done first. So big ass charger in the shop. You won't see it in this video. We're gonna have another video for it, but that stuff should be here on Wednesday. So we should be installing the new turbo on this coming Thursday. So Bertha's gonna have a nice VGT turbo, a Billet flex plate, and then we gotta pull that fast system. I'm gonna try to do that this week. But let's go get these parts dropped off in the shop, and then I gotta go to the bank, deposit some money, because my wife had my debit card and I need that to be able to deposit, so I took it. Yeah, this is what I was gonna show you guys. So we're gonna be making an intake horn out of this. This was cut out of steel, and that's what we're gonna make it out of. Actually, I'm gonna do a MIG welded version of an intake horn and see if people like them. We also have a bunch of parts, max peating rod parts to install. This thing is beefy and thick, and just to show you guys, there is the SFI sticker. So much better than this chintzy piece of steel over here that people tried to say that I installed wrong. And yeah, you can see where it like, just this whole piece of metal here. So pretty much what a flex plate does is this bolts to the engine, spinny spin spin, and this bolts to your torque converter. And how I diagnosed that is when I went to start the engine, it spun the outside, because that's what the starter does, but this didn't spin because it wasn't connected. So in turn, it only spun the transmission, the torque converter. So that's how we found out that was bad. I was pulling up a grade. I do a lot of full throttle lockup shifts with it, and this shouldn't snap. Now, the main reason I didn't want to go with a billet one in the first place, I know I've said this in the past, but we're going to keep this all in one video, is I would rather snap a flex plate than an input shaft. Now, I don't give a shit because we're going for 600 horsepower, and we can definitely make 600 horsepower. Actually, we can make 650 horsepower with this turbo, but I am limited by the injectors that are in the truck. I have 50 horsepower injectors, and they are only good for right around 600. So with that charger, this flex plate, and all that, we should be good to make 600. Now, the trans is not going to be happy. We will 100% be going with a full manual valve body 48 RE down the road, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to get all these little mods done first. We got the fleece block off plate. Yes, I went with fleece. I didn't get one of the cheap ones from Amazon. I got a fleece one. Everything is here to do what we need to do. The only thing is I will not be able to install the FAS until I get the lines in, and I'm going to check the wiring and make sure everything's good. But let's go grab Bertha, make sure I have the keys. I think I do. Let's go grab Bertha, and oh shit, I also need some degreaser. So I was looking at this taillight mark here, and Bertha was parked. This is why I don't want a newer truck. This is one of the reasons. See that? So somebody, I guess it didn't leave a mark on the salt, but somebody must have backed into me and smashed a taillight over it. All right, so I just sent management a text message, and I mean, we have the history of everyone who's ever logged in and been here, and I know when it happened. So I'll find them. I'm not worried about it, but the fact that they hit and ran and didn't leave a note or anything, that's where it's more the principle of it. So we're gonna start getting Bertha's tailgate down, get the tools out, start doing what we need to do. And with the one-piece drive shaft, this should be a hell of a lot easier than just a regular. I hate pulling carrier bearings. I think carrier bearings are fucking stupid. They have their place, but Bertha doesn't need one. So I don't know how far we're gonna get along with the intake horn as well, because I'd really like to make one. I mean, this one's fine. I don't like it. It's plastic. That's plastic. I don't like that. So we're also gonna eventually do away with these pipes here. I'll probably make one, but yeah, I want to make an intercooler or the fucking elbow. So that turbo's coming off soon. All right, so I got the transfer case out. You do not need a jack for the transfer case. So we got this out. Remember, this transmission was supposed to get replaced. I was told I had a new one coming because you guys remember from before, this was broken off. So we only have 5 bolts holding it in, which it's not a big deal. It's just an overdrive housing. But genuinely, I am only running this transmission until it breaks. So this transmission has about 80 or 90,000 miles on it since I bought it. And it's been good. It only holds 450 horsepower. If I run the hot tune, it will start to slip this trans. Not a ton, but it'll slip it a little bit, like 100 or 200 RPMs. So this trans is going to be coming out. We're literally just going to do the mods today, and then down the road, once this trans finally dies, because even though we're doing well, I'm not made of money. So I've already spent the money to get all those parts. Buying that parts truck was $5 grand, and then on top of that, buying all the other stuff and this and that. So I mean, we're still into all these parts about $7,000. So the nice thing is I recoup my money by selling the parts off of the truck, but still, it cost me out of pocket $7 grand to do all this stuff. This trans has a 1-year warranty on it. I think we're past that 1-year mark at this point. They said they were going to send me another one. I never got another one. I'll be honest, I don't care. It is what it is. It's getting me by. It's doing what it needs to do. It's just not a 600 horsepower transmission. So let's get this T-case out of the way. And mind you, I didn't need to pull the transfer case. The only reason I did that, because I want to get this cleaned up. I want to get this trans cleaned up. So I'm going to drop everything, get it all out of the way, and install everything nicely. When we did this on the highway, I just kind of, basketed it with some ratchet straps. And we did have a jack, believe it or not, but I basketed it with the ratchet straps and just slapped a new flex plate in. So it turns out I had already ordered these bolts before. I forgot what I put in. So I have 2 sets of these. Now I have the decision to use the new ones or reuse the old ones, which they're reusable because it's literally just, I went back in my order history and found out that I actually did order these. So now I have 2 sets of 48 RE torque converter bolts from Power Driven Diesel. These are grade 8 bolts. So there's really no point in even opening this up when we have them right here. Oh, what a fun. But I'm gonna show you guys when we get the transmission pulled out that everything's tight, because guys were wondering, how did you install the spacer ring? How to do this, how to do that? So I'm just gonna show you how, and on a Billet Flexplate, that little beauty ring that goes around there, you actually get rid of those. Yeah, so we're not gonna be reinstalling it. But it's not called a spacer ring, so if you call it a spacer ring, I automatically assume you don't know what you're talking about. So it takes about 2 minutes to get these out. You guys can see there's the bolt right there. What I'll do is I'll put a breaker bar right here, and I'll just lay here, and then I will take my extensions, put them up through, kind of like that. So I'll leave it just like that. You can see it goes right in the hole. Hit it with the impact, move to the next one, take. All right, well, I guess I have a set of Power Driven Diesel bolts in stock because I'm not wasting these. These are good bolts. Nothing's gonna happen to them. So I have a set of Power Driven Diesel ones in stock. These things were an atrocious amount of money. These were also an atrocious amount of money. Just getting this whole thing done was about 500 bucks, 550 with the rear main. All right, so these bolts were torqued when they went in. Someone said I didn't torque on them. I'm like, the guy who was with me literally held the front of the engine so I could torque these bolts down. Always torque these bolts, all right? So we're gonna throw this impact on here. I'm gonna show you how tight these bolts are. I did make a mess, but anybody else like work on their own stuff a lot different than customer stuff? You can see the damage that came when the Flexplate went. So let's see. That one was tight. That one was tight. And this is not a spacer ring. For the absolute morons, it's not a spacer ring. If you put that on the other side, you're gonna fuck shit up. That was tight. This is a fully charged Milwaukee, by the way. This guy's going in the trash. So you can see these tabs, the way that gets centered. Why does that look dry? Why does that look dry? Do we not have a rear main leak? It looks dry. Oh boy. Alright, where are we leaking oil from then? Not from up there. Alright, let's get this adapter plate out and see if we actually have a rear main leak, because we might not, actually. We could have a rear cam seal leak, who knows? Let's find out. Turns out we had a cam seal. So, yeah, looks like the cam seal was leaking, not the rear main. So, I guess we're not touching the rear main, luckily. But yeah, that's not good. We're gonna be doing away with this orange RTV stuff too. I started using this a while back as a test, and it was great. But a lot of guys are telling me that they don't like it for some reason, and a lot of what do you call them? A lot of the backyard mechanics have been using it and just absolutely fucking shit up. So we're gonna do away with it and just go back to black, I guess, or Honda Bond or whatever. But yeah, we will be doing away with that. But I haven't had anything that I've installed leak using it, so we will no longer be using this, but we definitely had a rear cam leak. All right, all that work just to find out it's the cam seal. So I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up, this whole thing cleaned up, and do away with that and probably replace this seal. We're gonna clean up this starter wiring too, because I'm wondering if this is what's causing my problem. Whoever put this starter on didn't clean it initially. And don't worry, it wasn't me. So we got everything as cleaned up as possible. I got a new seal. We're gonna throw that in there. There's the old one, just to show you guys. You think the Cummins Whisperer doesn't have one of them in stock. So we're gonna throw that in there. Get this one cleaned up a little bit, but this surface has to be completely flat. All cleaned up and ready to get reinstalled. We also cleaned off the threads on this thing and the nut. So I'm pretty sure that's why we're having the issues with the starter. Basically, I put this on the back, hit it with some of that. So I'm wondering if that's why we're having the starter issues that we're having. But there you go. Let's get this thing cleaned up and thrown on. All right, so how we're gonna install this, we got our ARP grease. I'm gonna make sure that the bolt head is ARP'd, but we are red Loctiting these. I do have the proper 19 millimeter. See that? It's 19. Now, we are also throwing away the purity ring. They specifically say they want as much thread engagement as possible. So we've got everything reinstalled. Generally, when look, some things need a torque spec, some things don't. Generally, when I put these things in, every truck I've ever done, and I know a few other people the same way, but these, I'll put Loctite on them, but I impact those on, good and tight. Then I'll put this on. I do torque these bolts. I have to look up the factory spec right now because I don't have it off the top of my head. But anytime I put a flex plate on, I always torque these bolts. Now, the torque converter bolts themselves, I do not torque those. Now, after seeing some of the things that Josh from Power Driven, he has his own channel now, Horse Torques Diesel, I like a lot of his stuff, and he has specifically said that he has seen these bolts come loose on the factory spec. So he's always impacted these and given them a nice Guten tight. Impact is a different tightness than a regular torque wrench. So my 2 cents, his 2 cents, and that's the way that I have always done it. I have always just hit these on with an impact Guten tight. No torque spec on those. These I've always torque spec'd. These are fine. So you can see just how much protrusion we get with that ARP bolt, whereas if we didn't, you know, we would lose a good bit putting that purity ring on. So like I said, a little bit of lube on the top here, on the tops of these so we can get a good torque spec. I'm gonna put a rod on the front so that we can torque this down. Now, I know I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but you guys can see this ring here. This centers itself to the crankshaft. This was another reason I was afraid to buy an aftermarket one in the beginning because I didn't do a lot of research on these. Look, they even date it. But I didn't do a lot of research on these, and I see guys going out of their way to physically check the trueness on these. That's a little weird scratch. But I realize they really only have to do that with the steel ones because you see these little tabs here. Those need to be centered, and I've seen guys physically put these on cockeyed because these are not a true design, you know what I mean? Like they can be off. So dummy proof, and anybody can install these. If you fuck one of these up, that's impressive. I'm surprised. So I'm gonna go install this thing now. A little bit of ARP grease there. A little bit of ARP grease on the bottom here. All right, just to show you guys, because I know people doubt it, but I had a second guy helping me. I have to do this myself, but they're all torqued. No impact yet. Come on. 101 foot-pounds. One-handed. This ain't bad. And then what I do up front, we have this guy here, and then I can just take it out. Oh man, so look at that. Bertha's got a billet flex plate. Alright, so before I tighten this trans down, yes, we made a mess. It is what it is. I want to show you guys. Dowel pins. Make sure that you have them. Okay, if you go back and look in the video, these are mine are in the trans. Sometimes they stick into the adapter plate, but I have never installed a transmission in my life without alignment dowels, whatever you want to call them. And I'm not going to start today. So if you do that, you will break things. Just going to put it to you bluntly. You're going to break shit. All right? So keep that in mind. Don't break shit. And also put all 8 bolts back in, because the amount of these that I've done that only have 7 bolts in them, mine has all 8, but yours probably doesn't. All right, so we're going to call it here today, but I'm going to show you guys how you can tell that you installed 99% of it correctly, pending you actually tighten the bolts correctly. But we're down here. I got the trans in. So if you can see the torque converter? See how that spins freely? That's a good sign. If you cannot spin that torque converter freely, pull your trans back out, because you fucked up. So looks like we got a little bit of a leak going on right there on the oil drain. That just started. But that's what happens when you run a truck commercially and you do a shitload of miles. So perfect time for a turbocharger upgrade. We're not even reusing that. The kit from BD actually gets rid of everything. So new oil drain, new oil feed, new pretty much everything. So we don't need to reuse anything from this kit except the intercooler pipes on. So that's gonna do it for today. I am gonna get cleaned up, and then tomorrow when I come in, I'm gonna clean up everything and start fresh now that there's no fluid that can leak out. We probably need a quart for the trans and transfer case. I don't think we leaked anything. So all good. I just wanted to pull this thing and check it out. I could have done it the sloppy and dirty method by just pulling everything back, but it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think about the hit and run. I really didn't see that with all the salt covering it, but now that, you know, now that it's cleaned off, I can see it. So I told them I was going to clean up this glass too, but I don't know what, someone, did more damage to their shit than they did to mine though. All right, guys, so it's the next day, and I just decided to rush it and get everything done. So it's all back together. Bertha's all good. I took all the center caps off because one decided to go missing, and don't care about them. So center caps are off. I also have the liner pulled out, so I got to put that in, probably throw a quart of tranny fluid in it. But if you guys saw, I'm gonna have to go back and find the comment, because some absolute moron, and I'm gonna emphasize moron because I don't give a shit. This dude's an idiot. So he said, anytime you install rear mains, you should do a wear sleeve, and that's just common sense. And I look back and I'm like, you know, I just watched Fire Punk and their same day service on these transmissions, and I'm like, they don't even pull the adapter plate. They just go in there with some Scotch-Brite and throw the new seal in. I have not found one shop yet that is actually using a wear sleeve on the rear main. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they're out there. I'm willing to bet they're out there because I know they're out there. I have yet to see one. Now, the reason I'm making this point now is obviously the rear main on Bertha was fine. It wasn't the rear main, it was the rear cam seal. Josh's truck, I'm wondering if I fucked his up and that's why it's leaking. And I'm willing to admit mistakes when I make them. But 12 valves do not use a rear seal on the camshaft. They use this. This is a plug. I keep them in stock. But Josh's truck has a similar leak to it. And I'm willing to bet, because I looked at his rear main when I did it before and I put it in, everything was clean, everything was good. I don't think he has a rear main problem either. I'm wondering if he has a camshaft rear seal. I'm wondering if when I put it in, it's just not sealing. So when I pull everything off of his, once Bertha's done this week, because I still got the turbo and everything coming. But I'm really wondering if that's the case, and if it is, I've done the research on it. You can just go and take that out and just put a rear cam seal from like a common rail, because they all have that same piece on the back. So I might do that on Josh's truck. Actually, if it is the case, I will definitely do it on Josh's truck. But I now have a Felpro rear main in stock, and I gotta throw that out. And 6 converter bolts. I didn't use them because I found out that I did them last time. Now, on these, red Loctite everything. Anything, converter bolts, ARP bolts, you put ARP lube on the heads, and then you put red Loctite on these. I've done fucking how many transmissions in my life? I've done so many of them. I have never sent one out without red Loctite on them. But that's my 2 cents. I'm pretty sure that that's what's wrong with Josh's truck, is it needs that rear seal. So I'm just going to keep this one in stock for the next time that we inevitably need a rear main. Because, you know what I mean? It's only money. So I can keep stuff in stock. Let's get the batteries put back on. And we also, I'm not going to do this today, but we got the fuse. You guys see how this battery is fused right here? If I go all the way back to this one here, this is a direct line from this battery to this. I want to cut this in half and fuse this battery as well. In case this wire ever pulls out and they both come out or something, it'll blow both fuses. That way we don't have any electrical fires or this and that. I would hope that it would just melt a hole in the toolbox before it burns something down, but the welder and the truck are basically connected. So I'm gonna get this thing off the jack stands, get my mess cleaned up, get the shop cleaned up, back this thing out. We're gonna throw Bertha up on the hill. And I don't think I'm gonna throw the wheel liner back in, because if you guys see here, I just found Bertha is leaking at the oil drain. Which actually, you know what? It looks like it's... I'm wondering if this turbo is just... it looks like it's actually leaking from the inside of the turbo. Which is weird. Luckily, we're doing a turbo upgrade, but now I'm going to have to check and see if we're blowing oil into the intake, because that looks like it's coming from higher than the oil drain. I wonder if this turbo's shot. Let's pull the intake off and find out. Give me a minute here, guys. So, there's no shaft play. Like, damn near none. This turbo doesn't really spin that great, though. But, if you guys can see, there's oil. I don't have the part right now to fix it if we have a blown turbo. But this whole manifold and everything is coming off this week, but it just won't be here till Wednesday. I don't know, but it won't be here till Wednesday, so probably just... I'm going to get this cleaned before I throw it back on, because these are cleanable filters. Take that to the car wash or something. But yeah, actually, on second thought, we're probably just going to leave it today. I will pop the battery terminals back on. In the meantime, I'm going to go through this. And yeah, you see that? Cold air intake that actually has a bolt in the side, rather than just flopping it in the intake. I really like this intake. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we might as well, even though I'm not gonna take it on a test drive this video because we have a bunch of other parts coming, I might as well fire the thing up and hope like hell we didn't install anything wrong. Here we go. Oh, that's where my wrench went. Oh, man. Oh, damn it. All right, sorry, shifter popped off. Mine's a little weak, but let's see if she starts. It's pretty quiet. Oh, the ABS light's gonna be on and the check engine light's gonna be on because I took the intake and unplugged it, and the ABS on that side is also unplugged. Quiet. I do want to see something. Stay. Turbo's spinning. I don't know. I guess you guys will just have to wait until the next video. Obviously, the check engine light's going to be on because it's unplugged. And just to show you guys, because I know I'm going to get some shit in the comments. Oh, your ABS light's on. Yeah, this is unplugged. I'll come in tomorrow, get this thing cleaned up and driven out, and then we'll figure out what that issue is there. But it looks like it's not the oil drain. It's coming from in between. So we'll see if it's an engine thing or if it's a turbo thing. But that turbo doesn't, like, it spins fine, but it just doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, there's a lot of not a lot of resistance, but enough resistance that it's not a fresh turbo. Like, if I come over here and I look at this one, like, that thing spins. Whereas the one that's in the truck now, it's like if I come over here and I try to spin it, yeah, like it feels like it's hitting the brakes. So, it is what it is, not a big deal. Or if we need some valve stem seals, whatever. But it definitely should not be leaking like that. So either way, I mean, and if it was an engine problem, I guess technically we would have oil coming out of the exhaust. And I came back here, and we do not have any oil out of the exhaust. It is dry as a fart. So, there you go. This is the first step to making 600 horsepower with Bertha. Second step is going to be right here. And then third step, we will have the fast fuel system. I'm just going to leave that off for now. Hope you guys enjoyed my shit showery, and I hope you guys enjoyed me talking a little bit of shit myself. If you guys want to go down in the comments and talk some shit, go ahead. You're more than welcome to. I've been fucking with a lot of people lately. And if you want a stock flex plate, let me know. Because, I mean, I'm going to throw that up on the shelf because, I mean, it's still good. It's good for a stock truck. You don't need a billet flex plate. Actually, a lot of guys are running the stamped steel ones. Just don't buy this one. This one's shit. So, see you guys. Appreciate you. If you need anything, we'll be around all week in Carlisle, PA. So, see ya. cpstevemiller.com.